Hi guys, welcome to my video series on cryptography. As most of you are familiar with the term encryption, which we are using nowadays in our day-to-day life. For example, almost all of us are using WhatsApp, where we send the data using encryption. When we try to log into the bank server, we use encryption. Even if you try to access any Wi-Fi network, you have to use your password, which is the key. So, cryptography plays a very important role in our everyday life. So, coming up in this video, I'm going to tell you about what is the need of cryptography, what are the basic terms that is used in cryptography, and what are the security goals of any cryptographic algorithm. So, let us begin with the need of cryptography. I shall take an example where, let us say, a sender known as Alice wants to send a secret message to a receiver called as Bob, and Bob is sitting at a very distant location. Now, in this digital era, the widely used means of communication, whether it is text, whether it is voice, whether it is data, whether it is images or video, we share all the messages using a PC or laptops or mobile phones over an internet connection. And this internet channel is a publicly available channel with all type of people, the good as well as bad, using it. Now the bad guys on the internet are typically called as attackers or eavesdropper, who try to hack your data. These attackers may somehow try to either read your message, or they may try to modify it, or they may also try to block your message from being received by the receiver. This is where cryptography comes into use. Cryptography is basically a method which is designed using mathematical concepts and rules such that it converts any meaningful message, such as here highlighted in yellow, into a junk or meaningless, unreadable message that is shown here. The output that is generated by cryptographic algorithms does not make any sense to an unauthorized user. The only person who can decode it appropriately is the authorized receiver. Thus, cryptography is basically a method which ensures the security of the transmitted information or communication. Let us now see some of the basic terms used in cryptography. The first and foremost term is plaintext. Plaintext is the unencrypted, readable, plain message that anyone can read. It is the message that a sender wants to send to the other end, to the receiver. Encryption is the process of applying a mathematical function to the plaintext and convert it into an unreadable, meaningless message known as ciphertext. So the ciphertext is the output of the encryption algorithm, which is a meaningless message such that an attacker does not understand what the message is, or the attacker cannot decode what the message is. The only person who can decode the message is the authorized receiver. To decode the message, we need another algorithm at the receiver end, which is called as decryption. So decryption recovers the plain text from the ciphertext using the decryption algorithm. The encryption and decryption algorithms are publicly known algorithms. So what is it that is going to ensure the security of the data if the algorithm itself is known to the users? It is the cryptographic keys. We use a cryptographic key to encrypt the data and convert it to ciphertext so that the secrecy of the message is maintained. While at the decryption end, we use another corresponding key so that the data is decoded appropriately by the receiver who is having the correct exact key. Let us now discuss about some of the security goals. Let us take the same example where Alice wants to send the data to receiver Bob. What is it that you're looking for in order to keep the message secret? First and foremost, we are looking for the confidentiality of a message. A message should not be readable by unauthorized users. It should be readable only by authorized users. So a good cryptographic algorithm has to ensure confidentiality of the data, that is, secrecy of the transmitted data. So eavesdropper should not be able to read the message. The second lookout of a good cryptographic goal is that the data, even though it is transmitted in a ciphertext format which is unreadable by the attacker can still try to play around with your ciphertext. He will try to modify the ciphertext. What happens in this case is the receiver, when he tries to decode it, he won't get the exact message as that was sent by Alice. So the entire goal of sending the message by Alice to Bob is useless. So integrity of the data has to be maintained. The data should not be modified by an attacker in the transit between the sender to the receiver. So good cryptographic algorithm has to ensure, or it should have some means by which it can check whether the data is modified or not. If it is modified, you can reject it. If it is not modified, you will accept it. So a good cryptographic algorithm should prevent an eavesdropper from modifying the data. That is, it should ensure that the eavesdropper has not modified the data in the transit and you're receiving the correct and actual data. The third goal of cryptographic algorithm is to ensure the identity of the sender and the identity of the receiver. For example, when you log into a bank server, you have to enter your username and password. That is known as authentication. You are authenticating yourself to the bank server. So a good cryptographic algorithm should ensure that it is indeed the sender who has sent the data and indeed the correct receiver who has received the data. So the identity of the sender and the receiver has to be confirmed by the cryptographic algorithm. This is known as authentication. With this, we come to an end of this video. Coming up in my next video is I shall be explaining what is symmetric and asymmetric encryption algorithm. Kindly like my video, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all. Stay blessed, stay healthy. Goodbye.